Hello, everybody. Welcome to Always the Worst. I am one of your hosts today, Chris, joined by. I'm letting you say your name today.
Oh, am I? I'm
Yeah,
allowed to say my own name?
yeah.
Hooray! I'm moving up in the ranks. I got promoted to namesayer. Hello, my name is Mark, and I am also the other half or third, depending on attendance, of Always the Worst.
I
Yeah.
think we need to have like the equivalent of a school report day, like a parents' evening
Yep.
with Michael, and be
Yep.
like, "Your attendance, good sir, is below the
It's
threshold."
we're concerned
Yeah.
about your performance.
But to those who are wondering what's happened to our little android, he's getting a dog today. The jammy sod that he is.
Yeah.
He's going away getting a collie, and he's going to send us some photographs at
Yeah,
some
you got
point.
jealous that I got a cat clearly, and
And I
it's
already
just
owned a dog, so he's
yep.
like, he did send me something real cool,
Hmm.
but because my other half had to work a wee bit late from work there, I've not had a chance to actually set it up. Michael actually sent us a wee minute and a half review that he's done on his phone of
Oh
Batman Begins,
wow.
and I was going to shove the video in just before we start, get it in. So what I'll do is I'll edit it in at the end of this, so that Michael, you're a part of it, and I love the idea of the wee minute review thing when he can't
That's
make it.
nice.
That's such a good
Wait,
thing.
right, Michael, keep leaving pauses for us to talk in amongst it, and we can just pretend
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we'll just clip you in one at a time.
That'd
There.
be brilliant. So
Right.
thank you, Michael, for doing that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's pretty cool. Today, though, we are jumping into Batman.
Yay! And it begins with Batman Begins.
We're so
Yeah, we're
original.
gonna we're gonna be doing like a season of Batman movies because obviously Batman is big again. Like pretty much the entirety of the DC showcase recently was about Batman's in
Yes,
general.
it's a shame that Robert Pattinson's Batman is delayed yet
Oh my.
again because somebody got COVID, so they've had to shut down production.
Apparently, it's like R. Pats himself,
Is it? Is it
which
him?
yeah, which is actually like fucking really bad for the production, considering that they can't even like film individual scenes with him or
Yeah,
anything like
nothing.
that.
Another big name that's got COVID is The Rock and his family.
I know,
But
like,
I feel for The Rock and his superior genetics. This is just a slight inconvenience.
oh, I don't know. Like, I've heard that like bodybuilders in particular are quite susceptible to
Really?
COVID because their systems are actually quite weakened by the sheer amount of pressure they put themselves through.
But this
So
isn't a normal bodybuilder. This is Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the Samoan
I don't.
god that he is
Uh,
himself.
I hope he's fine
Me too.
because like I have seen a lot of like stories about people who've been bodybuilders and they've basically just shed 90% of their body in
Wow.
by having COVID.
That's the thing, though. Like, say that goodness rid that happens to our boy. You know,
Hmm.
in about 3 weeks, he'll be back to being the giant guy again because of how ridiculous he trains. He'll be like,
Yeah,
well, I better get up at 2 this morning.
eat a megalodon for lunch. Like
Yeah.
here we go.
As he jumps off skyscrapers with one leg.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I assume like he's probably getting the best of care since he's a billionaire. But let's just assume
That's,
everything will be okay.
yes, I think he'll be
Yeah,
fine. So,
right.
Batman Begins. I just finished it. I decided to watch
You
this.
just finished it. I
Yeah,
watched it this morning.
yeah. I was going to watch it and then realised I had my job interview things today and I went, oh shit.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
get ready. Don't actually prioritize
yeah,
your life,
yeah.
Chris.
I did it. I actually put me first for once. It was such a nice thing. So
Nice.
I've not long finished it, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's still my favourite one.
Still your favorite one of all the Batmans
Yeah,
ever, or
of all of
right?
them. Outside of the puns from Batman and Robin, can't beat those
No.
puns.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I'm assuming everyone has seen Batman Begins in their life, right?
I, I,
Like,
I couldn't imagine somebody not seeing it at this point.
so I mean, like we're all familiar with the origin story of Batman. Bruce Wayne, his parents die, and then he decides to become the Dark Knight and float around and kill bad guys, or not kill bad guys. Um,
Unless you're
but
Ben
this one,
Affleck.
yeah, this one gives it a really kind of more grounded tone to it
Yeah.
because we spend more time with Bruce Wayne just as himself and less of it as him being the Batman. So
Yes.
much so to some extent that it almost feels weird when he actually becomes the Batman.
Yeah. Because some of my best bits of this is actually the beginning. for the first time
Mm.
ever, I'm going to talk about the beginning first.
The
Is
beginning of Batman Begins.
Yeah, is see watching and some of the flashback stuff that we had with him,
Mm.
um, of watching him actually want to fuck up criminals because he wanted to kill that guy at the court, and
Yeah, Joe Chill.
see that reasoning of him actually like I'm going to kill him is so it's so bigger as like to start his moral kind of code because he was like I
Mm.
was that guy, I was going to be the vigilante that kills criminals,
Yeah.
and then you get the training montage with Big Liam,
Liam,
Macbeth himself.
the Raz Al Ghul,
Yes.
not Ra's al Ghul, or however you're supposed to pronounce it.
Oh god, I know,
But
right? But I
um,
love that version of Bruce Wayne, of like watching a
well,
slightly broken Bruce Wayne instead of being
do you know
broken
what?
Batman.
Like, just even before we get into Bruce Wayne, I actually really enjoyed Thomas and Martha as well because
Yes.
it's a very different take on them. Because usually they're just seen as like these faceless billionaires that basically have like too much money and they get fucked over because they're rich and the poor person's like, I'm gonna fucking take everything you've got.
Yes.
In this one, we get to see like he's actually like a philanthropist of sorts. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't actually want to necessarily run his company and do all the day-to-day stuff. He wants to be out there helping people in the hospital and doing like all the charity work he can. He, and everyone loves him. Like
Yeah.
everyone thinks of Thomas Wayne as this like iconic person. Even like he's indentured servants and all that. They all love him. They all
Yeah.
think he's a great guy. Like it's such a different take.
Yeah. See, because of that, and the Wayne money, like
Mm,
the how unbelievably rich. I ended up going through a weird rabbit hole of where they got their money from. Because
mm.
he's a doctor, right? That's because he's like he works in the hospital and he's a doctor, and I'm like, you're a multi-billionaire company thing, and you're a doctor, and it got me really confused about where the money came from. I wish I never went down that rabbit hole because it's like
Right.
they're like old colonial money merchants that go into their own wee side stories about how they made their money, and I was like, I don't have the time to research this. Like,
Is this actually like
in comic,
available to find?
yeah, comic book. It's like the comic books did an origin story of the Wayne
Oh, right. I'm
fortune.
thinking of the one like in this movie though.
Oh no,
Like,
no, no! In this movie, again, I don't get an answer, so I looked online for answers of like
right.
comic book
No,
references.
because there was throwaway lines in this one towards the kind of family history that
Yeah,
said like they were like
well,
helping people escape from slavery and stuff
yeah,
like that as well. So they've always been a kind of like a philanthropist family who are
hmm
out to help people and stuff. And it's not even just like the way they portray like Thomas, it's also the way they portray Joe Chill
yes,
because he's not some faceless criminal either. He's actually a guy who was down on his luck, like forced in a kind of like horrible situation and kind of was just trying to make ends meet.
yeah,
And he fucked up
hmm
and he knew he fucked up. So it was interesting to give these usually one dimensional panel characters a bit of depth.
yeah. It's that thing that we've spoke about many times is letting directors, even if it's a superhero film, make their movie, because then you
Hmm.
get stuff like this. Like Christopher Nolan is known for having kind of almost more complex characters within themselves of like this guy's actually got this going on this, and then he puts in his lesser characters which in this helps you. It makes that scene that we've seen a million times over not
Uh-huh.
as boring because he doesn't try and make it look like a comic book thing. It actually feels like the guy tried to rob him and then the situation escalated because of normal human interaction of I'm going to give you my wallet and
Well,
it drops and then it kind of gets out of hand and they don't mean it to and he shoots by accident and then he realizes I'm in it now. I
yeah.
can't let the other person know who I am. And I'm like, that's what a real mugging going wrong would
Well, yeah,
be
and
for me.
also the portrayal of like Thomas in that situation where like he's not like immediately going to defend his family or to be like you're a fuck off
Yeah,
criminal or whatever. He's like, dude, I understand your situation. I'm not here to say you don't need it.
yeah,
Like, here you go. I don't need this money. You can have it. Like, he's literally just like, here you go. Like,
yeah.
he just wants it over with, and it's just yeah,
It's that thing they always tell you when if anybody tries to rob you, just give them what they want. Like he does the thing that everybody gets told to do. Just like it's better
Mhm.
to be out of pocket than it is to have stabbings or shootings. So
yeah, yeah.
it's such a see outside of him in the Batman suit. because I loved these Batman suit before it became the Batman, like with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
balaclava and everything, because
It's so cool.
it covered these top lip funny. So when he was kind of grimacing, it was just teeth like this. But I liked that. It was like Daredevil season one.
Yes,
I
Daredevil season one,
oh
which
I,
is like the perfect kind of representation. I love it when like they don't have the suits.
yeah
Like I just it works so much better for me because I see people right now like complaining about the trailer for The Batman coming out because they think everything looks too like basic and homemade. And I'm
love
like,
that.
no, that's awesome. Like Catwoman just wearing a balaclava that happens to have like actually it's not a balaclava, it's more like a beanie hat
Yeah,
because it's got the two edges. And so you just pull it down and cut eye holes in it, and it makes little cat ears. It's so subtle
yeah,
that it's like it would actually look like that. And
yeah.
I love that kind of shit. Like,
Me too.
yeah.
I
Hi
actually.
Thomas.
Hi Thomas. Thanks for
Speaking of
joining.
Thomas, not Thomas Wayne. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
totally dig that. It's like, see, when I seen the Batmobile in the new one, where it's like he's got like an old classic muscle car, and he's just got
Mm.
the money to be able to do it up
Yep.
ridiculously. It's like, see, the transformation of Christian Bale into Batman was pretty
Yeah.
cool because the suit made sense of how it became the Batman suit.
Yeah.
Outside there's some of the bits with the cowl, but that's just, you have to make it look Batman-y. But the fact that
Yeah.
the ears was because he needed to put his communication thing in the ear. The belt was actually a harness that he cut open. I'm like,
Yeah.
this all makes so much more sense.
Like I like the kind of ideas behind how they assembled it.
Yes,
Yes,
Thomas.
sorry, Thomas. But it's for the betterment of the story, right? You have to die.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like, I was with it 100% until like, see when they get to the point where he's actually got a fully assembled Batman suit, right?
It's the cape. It's
No, it's not just that. It's the cowl. I
yeah.
think it mimics the Tim Burton Batman cowl
This
way
thing.
too much.
This thing.
It's too like static, and it's got this kind of like long
Yeah.
like neck thing to it. And it's obviously they fixed that for the next movie, but there's a lot of parts of this one where I see massive influence from the Tim Burton
Yes.
Batman,
Yes. Yes.
and it kind of feels like juxtaposed
Mm-hmm.
almost with the kind of cool reality version we were given in the first half.
Yeah, because it's very like, even like this was the first time we got to see Gotham City as just a normal city as well,
Hmm.
which I kind of like. I wish there was a bit more Gothic architecture running through it. There was
Well,
hints of it, like Wayne's
what's
train was very
yeah,
Gothic
like
and
kind of
stuff.
like Art Deco-ish, but
Yes.
this what I like about this one and compared to the rest of the Nolan trilogy is that it has like the slums and
Yes.
stuff, like because that's the real part of Gotham that you get in a lot in the comic books is like the parts where the mobsters have overrun the city. You've got like all these kind of like kind of strung together neighborhoods that look a
Mm-hmm.
bit kind of like shanty towns and stuff like that. That vibe in that section is so like so Batman. It's
Yes.
really cool, but that's never seen again, like ever in the
No.
films. And it sucks so much that they just kind of like abandoned that
Yeah.
Gotham feel.
Yeah. Like, I felt like in Dark Knight Rises, it does not feel like Gotham at all. Especially see when the criminals take over the whole island. One,
Yeah,
the island shape completely changes. It is just look like skyline of New York. Like,
it's just New York.
it
Yeah,
does look like the actual island. And secondly, of all the films where you could go back to the slums for like
mm,
the rebellion of them trying to rise up from it, that's the one. Like, have them,
yeah,
instead of having them in the sewers, the fucking sewers, put them in the slums. You've already got this
yeah,
established. And I, one thing I liked about this one, I really liked, and I wish they'd done it more, the rain. It was raining a lot, and I'm like,
yes,
that's Gotham. Gotham is Blade Runner, but with Batman. That is what it
exactly.
is. It should be pissing the rain no matter what, because it's meant to be crime noir, but with a guy dressed up.
Yeah, so that's why I really enjoy Batman Begins as a kind of standalone
Yeah.
version of Batman compared to the trilogies because it has that feel. It's got dark grittiness and these kind of slums of loads of like dense detail put into it. Like you can see like everyone's washing hanging out and stuff. There's all these parts where you could hide and go around corridors and get lost, and that's what Batman's all about. you know, if he was jumping from skyscraper to skyscraper, you'd be like, oh, it's Batman.
Yeah.
Like you can see him. Whereas if it's in the darkness of the night with like the rain pouring down and there's like 100 things all over the place, you don't know what you're looking at, which is
Yes.
cool.
It's so cool. It's like this is see for me, this is the first proper what I would call Batman film because it felt like everything about it felt like Batman of what I know
Mm.
Batman of the detective side, like because most of this film is just him kind of finding out bits and pieces and spying on people. You actually have
Yeah.
scenes of him just sitting there listening, and then one of the best action scenes ruined. I just need to throw this out there. See when he has his first big Batman moment, and I'm sure he's first dressed up as Batman, and
Yeah. Well, he's
there's
fighting at the shipping containers. Yeah.
oh, such a good scene of watching him just fucking one at a time tear people away, and then they wreck it by doing a jump cutty fight scene.
Yeah. So like I get what you're
Ah,
saying about the jump cut fight scenes, right? It really pissed me off rewatching this again, right? But you can tell why they did it.
yeah.
And it's because the bat suit doesn't move,
Hmm.
right? They fucked up with the cowl and they know they did. And so they had to just reinvent how it worked. But yeah, Michael, like I agree, like the lighting, kind of like the orange and green hues and stuff that made the place feel like desaturated and weird. It's such a cool and all the like steam and smoke
Yes.
and everything.
Yeah.
It's so necessary. But then we get these scenes where he's doing the fights and it's so clean and crisp
Yeah.
that you can see most of it.
Hmm.
And then it's like I had to just cut it up with all these jump cuts. It's
Yeah, because
eh,
it has that vibe. So when they have that fight with all of them around it, that they really wanted to pull that out and watch him
yeah,
do the almost like the game fighting. I don't even know if the games were out at that point, but
no, no, no.
it has that vibe where you think they're going to do the Batman game kind of fight stuff, which
Yeah,
is the one thing I'll give the Ben Affleck's Batman. I actually really enjoyed
God,
the fighting
that
in
one
that.
fight scene,
It's
the
so
one fight scene.
so fucking good, right? It's just like
Yeah,
see what you
it's
did,
probably
did there. Do that
uh,
every time he fights, like because that's the way he should fight. He's kind of brutal, slightly gymnastic. And just when he hits you once, you fall over.
like I hate to say it, but like honestly, that scene in Batman versus Superman is the best Batman fight ever committed to film.
Yes.
Right? It just shows the sheer scale of his ability, like all of his tactical knowledge, and how he just fucking wrecks an entire room full of people.
Mm.
But it's almost kind of old boy style,
Yeah.
where he's slogging through the whole thing. It's like, oh, right,
Yeah.
next, bang, bang, like let's do it.
See, because I just love stuff like when you use the grappling hook and things just to get out of the
Mhm.
fight for a moment to jump back into the fight and then like
Yeah.
blowing up the gas canister thing. Because in the games, in the comics, he would have done that and nobody would have questioned
Yeah.
it. So really, he was, and I loved it. I actually loved him as Batman for that purpose. But we're not here to talk about him. I just
No,
need to talk about
no.
that fight scene.
But like as it's just compare and contrast kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, but it is like every fight in the Nolan Batman Begins is just so stiff because of the costume.
Yeah.
They should have, they just should have tested it.
Yeah.
Like they should have gone into like months of prep with him wearing the costume to get the fight scenes down, and then be like, this looks shit.
Yes.
Maybe we should just like even when they're in the fight scenes, like give him a different suit that has like a cloth bit of kill here because you will not notice it
you
in
wouldn't notice
motion.
that at all.
You would just be like spinning and fighting and stuff. It would be invisible, especially since we see the costume as he's assembling it, and the cowl is just a mask.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the full fucking neck attached to it. It's just a little mask.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah, because that means you could have got a decent stuntman to do that bit and then have him feel
Mhm.
like Batman, like real
Yeah.
Batman. So that's
But-
that is one of my big criticisms. See the action scenes in this outside of the beginning. See the minute these Batman action scenes, like fighting, it starts dipping. But him as the
I'll tell
ninja
you-
Batman at the beginning,
yeah,
oh, they were good.
right. So the scenes with like him training in the League of Shadows, for example, right, that is just so well done. That entire part, it was a good idea to like give him an actual real origin.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times Batman just kind of like he's like, oh, my parents died, and all of a sudden I put on a cowl like 20 years later. Like,
Yeah.
what did he do in between? Whereas
Yeah.
with this one, we get the idea that he traveled the world, he fucked up, he tried to kill the guy who killed his parents, and then he goes off and like just gets into a shitstorm and gets pulled back out of it by this guy. What do we call him again? I mean, he is Ra's al Ghul, but they call him Descartes or something.
I think so. It's like he is Ra's al Ghul
Uh,
eventually.
Du Ducard apparently
Aye,
is how they pronounce it. But yeah,
and it's good though. It's just like it it gives you more like a cinematic feel of why someone would do something. Like if you think of a film and revenge stories, this is how revenge stories play out. Something bad happens, they fuck off. You go with them as they fuck off. Stuff happens, whether it's a training montage, whether it's they get into other shit that makes their mindset change. So when they come back
yeah,
for the revenge, they're a different person. So it's not that same naive or bitter person at the beginning. It's this
mm,
more well-rounded or even more bitter, whatever way you want to take it, so that you have an emotional payoff when the conflict happens. Where most
yeah,
Batman films go, he's Batman. He's been Batman for 10 years now. And you're like, okay, cool.
yeah.
But you get introduced to him as if you've never known him before, and it's just like
Hmm.
he is who he is.
And do you know what works really well with like having that League of Shadows thing is that we get this like overarching sort of villainy that controls everything else around it.
Yeah,
It means that the mob families, Scarecrow, and all the other characters in between, they're all being like manipulated by this one driving force. So it's not just like, oh, we have to have the bad guys in here. Here they are. He's gonna go fight the Scarecrow because of some unknown reason. It's literally all tied back to his origin story, and it's like such a nice
yeah,
weave of elements.
yeah. Because it's quite cool because he thinks he defeated the League. That was
Hmm.
the big point. He came back to Gotham, he fixed it, knowing that the League had he cut his ties. He's not going
Yeah.
to deal with them anymore. And then see having that, see the first time you watch that and have that start to get revealed is actually a really good reveal. It's like watching Ra's al Ghul show up at the party is
Mm.
brilliant. And then, sadly for me, I did not like the climax to this. I found the climax of they two on the train just
Yeah.
this whole film does this, then the climax happens and it just kind of dips slightly. It's like, do you want that actual head to head, like the fighting on the ice moment, where
Yeah.
they do it kind of with the footing nonsense, but you want that proper hand to hand. But I think you
Do you
put
know?
it
Do you
right.
know? See what they should have done is because Ra's al Ghul knows that it's like fucking Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah,
He knows they could have had a part where he gets knocked about, like his mask gets taken off, and then he can have the real fight because he doesn't have the fucking
yeah,
stumpy neck thing. He doesn't
yeah.
have to do this all the time, right? So they could have that actual like revisiting their duel and showing off his new techniques and all that kind of stuff because they mention it in words,
Yeah.
but you don't really see an
No,
evolution
no.
of what they've been doing all this time.
Oh my god, you could still do that fight on the train as well.
You could,
So, because if you
because
really
there's only
want,
two of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you really want that, the crashing of the train and the whole thing of, well, you never watched where you were stepping, you could have that moment,
Mm.
but you want it to be like a visceral fight that starts off very martial arty that just descends into like street brawl because they're letting both each other's emotions take over. And it'd have been a
Mhm.
really good emotional payoff of watching him, especially watching Bruce Wayne get close to the edge. Because
Yeah.
then when the Joker comes in, the sense of the Joker trying to break him in The Dark Knight would have so much more weight to it because you watched him in the previous film,
Mhm.
knowing that he basically killed Ra's al Ghul, but he nearly did it with his own fists or something, which
Yeah,
would
yeah,
have
yeah.
been such a cool kind of continuation of the
Because
films.
it also, because of the way the Christian Bale plays Batman,
Yeah.
like the actual character of Batman, it feels too over the top and kind of theatrical. I mean, I know that's the whole point, but like when he's when he's talking to him,
Oh, yes.
he has this voice he puts on,
Yeah.
and it's so inconsistent throughout the entire film. Like
Hmm.
when he's interrogating the guy at first, he's be like, "Where are the drugs going?" And then like when he's fighting against Ra's al Ghul, and he says like, and he's like, "You haven't learned any new tricks," and and he goes like, goes, "What about this one?"
Yeah.
He sounds like a wrestler or something. Like he can't remember how to like do
Yeah.
his voice in action. So if he just wasn't doing the fucking Batman voice during these scenes, and it was more like emotionally tied,
Yeah.
it would be really cool.
Yeah, no,
But
I totally agree. The Batman voice was the one thing that just in general, I get why, like, people might
yeah,
know
because
me from my
he's
voice.
talking to fucking Rachel, and she'd
Yeah.
just be like, "Bruce."
What the?
Bruce? Like, what the fuck are you wearing, mate?
He just does that with his cape. No, I am not Bruce, and just runs away.
You don't know who I am.
Yeah. But yeah, see, I like the idea of, again, I think it was in the Batman vs Superman. It's a wee voice changer thing that he's got in his
Yeah.
mask. And I was like, cool, distort their voice a wee bit, like in post, so it's not like a proper thing. Because I think in every other medium, he doesn't change his voice. See, like in the animated films, his voice is the same on both sides. I think he's
Yeah.
just a bit more politely spoken.
Yeah,
I
this idea of suspension of disbelief that we're
Yeah.
all allowed to have when it comes to superhero movies,
Yes, because think about it.
because they're wearing dumb costumes, and I could recognize anyone from their lower mouth.
Oh yeah,
Like if I
you know that's
saw,
Christian
like,
Bale.
yeah, it's like we've got moles, you've got like
Yeah.
lines in your mouth, you've got like certain lip shapes. Everyone can just go, "That's you."
Yeah, because think about it. Nobody gives a toss about Superman. The fact that everybody should be alright to know who Superman is. Just do the same with Batman and let Christian Bale be Christian Bale because he's a fucking fantastic actor in general.
Yeah.
So if he didn't have to do that daft voice, because that probably made it really difficult to actually show emotion in scenes outside of "I'm angry" voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even like the first introduction of when he says, they go like, it goes like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Batman." It just sounds like so.
It's
Uh,
cringy. It's just
It is. It's
cringy
cringy.
in a film that is so grounded, and then you have these, actual. Oh,
When Superman gets away with it, yeah, yeah. But like, it's cringy, right? And that's kind of where this film like falls down for me. Is there are a lot of elements that just feel like they could have been fixed if someone sat there and just looked at it for 1 second and went, "Oh, I don't like this." Like, why wasn't Christopher Nolan on set going, "We really shouldn't do the voice. We really shouldn't do the cowl. We should do something else." Like,
it's like they have a couple of most of the characters aren't over the top, but the
Hmm.
ones that get it, weirdly, so Batman gets it,
Mhm.
and so does Scarecrow when he's Scarecrow. Like they give him wee quips and one-liners, which I don't know much about Scarecrow, but I'm just saying it from this film's perspective. It
Yeah.
felt so off.
because like as
He's-
Dr. Crane, he spends 90% of the time like pure, "Oh yes, but I don't believe in everything you're saying." And then as soon as he puts the Scarecrow mask on, he's like, "I think you should lighten up."
He sounded
Like,
more like the Joker when he was doing that. He's like, "Why are you
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
serious? You should lighten up." And I'm like, "Joker? Is this what's happening? We merging the two?" But I think see if he kept that kind of calm doctor demeanor as the Scarecrow, that's scary when it's just like a faceless freaking mask thing, being analytical about how he's going to poison you, and
Yeah.
your fear is like, "I can kill you right now."
but at
'Cause
the
you can.
same time, I really enjoyed the Scarecrow in this movie. I think it's actually a really fun portrayal because they get the Scarecrow right in the sense that he is egotistical. He is like actually quite a threat,
Mhm.
but at the same time, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And so the way that they always just end up like fucking either was it he gets punched out one hit and he also gets tased.
Yes.
And it's because like the rest of it is like, "I am fear, I am everything," and then it's just fear.
Yeah. He does get hit by his own fear gas, I'm sure, doesn't he? Like that's one of the
Yeah.
points. He's like, get up, you.
Because he just Batman turns it on him
Yeah.
and he sees the like your evil black bat thing, which is cool as fuck,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I love the fear gas stuff. I love
It's
the
so well
world that they made in the fear gas of like it wasn't so over the top looking that you would go, "I'm hallucinating." It's like just on that cusp where you're like, if you got fucked up LSD wise, that's what you would be like. You'd be like, "Oh no," but you're too scared to move, so you just have to sit there and watch it happening. Like,
Yeah, unless you're the general public of Gotham who start punching the glowing Batman.
yes,
They're
back
like, kill the
demon.
monster. They have pitchforks and glowing
Yes.
torches and like, chasing them down. Yeah, it was a bit weird. But I think like you see all the visual styling of this film is really well done.
Yeah.
Cinematography wise, like in those like fear gas sections in particular. I love the juddering camera
Yeah.
kind of thing that makes everything seem like oh well, like it just gives you that depth of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know, field that kind of freaks you out a bit more. It's really cool. I like those effects.
So, with that said, because we're not going to be watching and reviewing the other two films in
No.
in this
Yeah.
series, so I pose a question: what went wrong as the films went forward for you? What do you think done it that made by the time we got to the third one that were like, eh? And why do you think the second one is the most high regarded to most people?
So there's one thing I kind of like I would like to touch on just before, like I
Yeah.
think this helps me understand the problems where it goes forward, is each one of the Nolan movies has something in it that just fucking annoys me,
Okay.
right? It's one thing in each one, and it's usually the Deus Ex Machina of the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
In this movie, it's the microwave
Yeah.
machine, which targets water,
Mhm.
but somehow doesn't kill every human being within a radius of it
Yeah.
because we're all made of water.
Yeah, because on the boat it does. That's one of the big things that happened on the boat. I'm pretty sure they talk about.
No,
No, did it
it,
not?
it does not. It blows up the pipes and blows up the ship
Right.
because it
Okay.
like this all
I th-
stuff.
I
But
thought they killed
I'm
the
like,
people on the boat.
I'm like, yeah, if you're just openly microwaving the air, you're removing like if you're trying to remove the moisture or steam the moisture, like you are going to kill humans. You're going to like completely remove all moisture from their body and they're going to die.
Mhm.
This weapon cannot exist, and like all you had to do was think for 3 seconds about what it is. I like the idea of like vaporizing the water and putting it into the air, but maybe if they did something that was like they linked it to the water system
Mhm.
and they just kind of like blasted something through it that just evaporated all the water in the
Yeah.
city. It'd be kind of interesting. But driving a microwave through the city, it's like you're like you didn't even think about this for 3 seconds,
Yeah.
like because anyone would have gone, aren't we 90% water? How does it not affect us? Is it only large bodies of water it can affect? If so, then why aren't cars exploding or something? Because anyway, right.
So that's the one for that one. What's the one
So
for the
only
second one?
so the second one, if I remember correctly, is the super duper like I see everything Omnivision,
Oh yes! Oh my god, I fucking hated that actually.
right? Because it's like
The Big Brother. It's basically
yeah,
Brother Eye from the games later on.
yeah. It's this really fucking shitty comic book take that is not necessary for the plots. That's what I'm getting at. It's
Yeah.
like they keep throwing these bits in to ruin the tone of
Yeah.
the films. Because Batman should not be about like world-ending devices. It should be about like secret societies or like psychotic
Yeah.
criminals or just like people trying to do daft shit, and he's there to save the day
Yeah,
because it's
because when you think about with the Dark Knight, the Joker's whole thing was just blowing shit up. Like he just wanted to blow stuff up to see what would happen and how people would react. To have because that's really grounded in a lot of like terrorism, of like real terrorism isn't about
yeah, yeah.
we're going to blow up the city. Whereas you're going to go, we're going to shove a bomb in a hospital. Deal with it.
Yeah, just for the thing.
Yeah,
But that's this one obviously it is a terrorist act that they're
yeah,
trying to do to like destroy the city of Gotham, right? By inducing
yeah.
fear in all the citizens, right? But somehow they do the thing they're supposed to do. They
Yes.
just do it,
Yeah,
and it gets all the way through the city. Yeah, that's not a problem
yeah,
because tomorrow they wake up and it's the front page news is that
yeah,
Batman burned down his house.
yeah. But you know what the thing it gets me about with Dark Knight? Oh, everything
Which
okay?
one?
Sorry.
I'm still there.
Oh yeah, cool. See with the Dark Knight is see
Yeah.
that brother eye thing he turns on.
Hmm.
See if that became a leading thread in the Dark Knight Rises about how Batman gets left alone now
Mm.
because everybody around him went, "You crossed a line here. You went
Yeah.
full government. CIA. Shouldn't you
Like,
be doing that? You went and became the villain here because you've
uh,
disregarded." Then you can kind of go, okay, but it never comes up again after use.
yep.
Fox doesn't even retire. His whole big thing was he's meant to
Well,
turn it off and then be like, "I'm done with you," and that doesn't happen because the
yeah.
Harvey Dent stuff overrides it. It's like going, we needed a. It was almost like we needed a reason to get you in here to get it done, so we can
But
go to Harvey Dent.
see, like, I think one of the other reasons that they kind of like these movies fall flat after that is that they lose the tone of Gotham
Yeah.
like completely. It becomes Chicago, right? Or New York City. It becomes
Yes.
one of the two things. And it's no longer this like believable crime-ridden city,
Yeah.
right? It's now just a corporate big business, affluent place that has like terrorists and clown makeup and stuff.
Yeah, because you never go back to normal areas. It's always in the business district.
Yep.
Always, even when you get to new ones, it's the same thing.
But
Some
as we've seen in this film, the business district is literally like 2 foot away from the
slums,
slums,
yeah.
and it's connected by this monorail system that just never appears ever again.
No.
Like it's completely not in the street structure, despite only one section of it getting destroyed.
Yeah.
There's none of this like there's and the scenes in The Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight where they go down to the bottom levels and
No.
there's no slums, there's no nothing anymore. There's no like people living in the Batman fix everything by taking out Falcone. Is that what we're supposed to believe?
Well,
Overnight?
well, it couldn't have because the second one was all about the gangs that felt the power vacuum when he left.
Yeah.
So it's like they genuinely just went, we can't be bothered needing to put the detail in. That's what it feels like. Do you know what gets me with the Dark Knight? I wish Harvey Dent, if you're going to do Harvey Dent and you're going to bring Two-Face in, and I don't mind bringing Two-Face in and having the Joker be the person that kind of tries to mold Two-Face, because I found that kind of interesting. An interesting take on it. It gets rid of Rachel, who was a pain in the arse character in that one, in the second one. They completely...
She was kind of useless in the first one as well, to be fair.
Do you know,
I mean,
do you know what annoyed me
underdeveloped.
Do you know what annoyed me with her in Batman Begins? She was just condescending to Bruce. It's just like, at any moment, she's just like, well, I can't come to your party because, you know, some of us have to work. It's like, shut the fuck up. Fuck off then.
Like, I feel like her character is completely underutilized.
Yeah.
Because, like, and then most of the movie, she spends, like, off camera or, like, KO'd by a virus or something like that. And it's like, cool. Why is she even here other for, like, having a love interest? It's, like,
imagine if you...
one-dimensional.
So, in a sec, we're going to fix the Nolan's trilogy. That's what we're doing. We're story fixing time, guys. This is what you are actually here for. So, I would keep most of Batman Begins as is, right? I would do the fixes to the suits so we can have a better climax of Batman getting close to being broken. See, like, basically the Killing Joke. Is it the Killing Joke where Batman kills the Joker? I think that's the comic.
Yeah.
Get him to that close edge where he's about to, and then the train crashes, but Batman gets out, and then it's on his conscious of going, if that train didn't crash, would I have killed him, right?
Yeah.
Have Harvey Dent be Rachel's DA partner in this one. Very low level, making a name for himself. Almost like a cameo.
But I wasn't, like, apparently...
Sorry, just Michael, 90% more Scarecrow.
More Scarecrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't... Scarecrow is the only recurring character in the entire 3 movies.
Yes,
like, he's in each one. Like, can't argue with that. But I think, from what I remember, Christopher Nolan only wanted to do one movie.
And then they go...
The Joker thing was actually just like a reference for comic book fans to have a laugh with.
Yeah.
And
the film did too well.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to get through this because this is quite cool. So you have that, and then you do the usual Joker thing at the end. Have Harvey Dent rising through, so you've got a reference to him. If say it was getting made as a trilogy, you have a reference to him.
Like kind of like what the Tim Burton one did when they had Harvey Dent in it.
Yes, basically, yes. Like do that, yeah, because it makes sense. Like if you're going to try and build a villain up, because I hate the fact that. So we get to the Dark Knight. Everything that's happened with that means that when the Joker decides to fuck with Batman because he knows Batman's emotionally unstable after what happened, you make the time scale like only like a year or 2 years afterwards. So he's never really
like recovered or
because
moved on from it.
Because that's it. He holds grudges. That's the point of Batman. He can't let shit go. Like, dude needs to do some meditation or something. Get stoned or whatever, man. Whatever he has to do to chill out, right? So that gives the Joker a real reason to fuck with him. Because he's like, I think I could break him. As he's watching Harvey Dent become Harvey Dent, keep that storyline roughly the same. But don't, even if you want to say Harvey Dent died or whatever, they don't find the body, do the cliche thing, or don't kill him at the end. And then make the third one about Two-Face instead of Bane.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think I loved Tom Hardy's Bane on like second viewing because I love Tom Hardy, and the fact that he was able to act so much with his eyes and nothing fucking else was beautiful. Like,
and that weird voices.
Do you know that voice was based on gypsy boxers? That's what he done. He wanted it on that instead of better than him trying to do a really bad
Mexican accent.
No, it's Argentinian.
Oh, I can't really remember. I thought he was Mexican. Yeah.
Bane's a weird one because in some continuities he's like a hyper intelligent guy who, even though he was in jail and became this big luchador, he's actually super smart, and it was him. It was a part of the whole serum stuff. And then in other
Yeah.
continuities, like Batman and Robin, he is the thickest prisoner on the
Yeah,
planet.
he's just a big hulking mass of muscle and
Yeah.
does nothing of interest. Yeah.
So that's my Batman's. I don't know what I would do in the Dark Knight Rises with
Yeah.
Two Face. I'd maybe even have Bane in it
Well,
as like the cooperatives of bringing the League and stuff back.
yeah, because this is the obviously the important thing to remember is like these movies were made like as and when they were happening.
Yeah.
There was no like forethought put into them, but that's what's really cool, and I'm excited for the Batman
Yes.
because they've planned out the whole trilogy and the TV show to map out the whole like storyline, and I'm like, shit, yeah, man, you've actually like put effort into this, and I'm kind of hoping that you draw little
Oh,
like links between it all, and it's going to be like we can piece it together and have a good time. But
I am so up for the new one because soon I first heard about it, I was just like, eh. But then soon I saw that first trailer, I was like, oh, this is a freaking tone and a look that I've not seen in a long time.
Mhm.
Right? Oh,
Yeah, so Michael, like I kind of like I semi agree with you because I get the idea that it would be nice to see that he was actually doing something else in between, and it's not just like he's fought three people in his entire life. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. But I guess we get to see that the rogues are still active in the beginning of the film because Scarecrow's broken out again and is doing his bad shit. So there's the idea that they exist,
but they just don't
maybe.
want they just don't go out of the back catalogue of anybody else, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
See,
I
again,
mean,
the Riddler's always a good one. I know. Again, we have to think. What film was the Riddler in of it? Who did the Riddler one?
oh, that was a Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
That was
Me-
the one of Riddler and Two
Yeah.
Face. Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
see, not having Riddler with Two Face because you're just pulling, but see, having the Riddler as a bad guy who's just
Yeah.
kind of always there fucking things up. So it's like, I need to go do this thing. But the Riddler's set this weird riddle where he's like, well, if you don't solve this, it's like a saw trap almost like for Batman,
Mm.
which would have been interesting.
Yeah. Also, if they had like Joffrey come back.
Yes, but he comes back as Joffrey.
Yeah, like I like just have that wee kid actually turn into Joffrey in the Batman universe, and
It's just this crazy homeless person with a crown on, like, I am going to get
Like-
you.
because he never actually gets the fear toxin out of his body. He just like he's like, I am the king of Gotham.
The dragons are coming. I swear they're coming. I know they're coming.
Do you know what really bothers me as well is I would have liked to see more of Rutger Hauer. He was great in this film.
Who was he in
Like,
this film?
So Rutger Hauer, he plays Earl, the guy on the board who like basically fires Lucius and stuff like that. Because obviously
Yes.
he's got some kind of criminal
Yes!
ties.
Oh my
right?
god, yes, because they don't go into him at all. He just ends up seeming like an arsehole for arsehole's sake.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I guess it's hard to see that it's Rutger Hauer since he's doing his best Robert Redford impression the entire
Oh
film.
my god, yes.
but but like honestly, like I would love to have seen more done with him, and it's just a shame that he's kind of like thrown off to the side.
Yeah, it's like see when he fires Lucian.
Mm.
It feels like there's no context to that. He just kind of comes down asking about the thing that he's been told about. Because again, we have to piece together that he was part of that thing going missing. In my canon, that's what I think. Like he,
Yeah, like he was maybe part of the League of Shadows
yeah.
in some way, shape, or form.
But the way they go about it, he just seems like a douchey business guy who ends up just doing douchey things for the sake of being a douchey business guy. I'm like, this film could have happened without you in it. Like everything with you in it could have not been a part of it whatsoever, which was kind of shit considering he could have been that link to how the League of Shadows went
like
after,
infiltrated and got to like Bruce Wayne's house, like how they tracked him,
and
that kind of stuff.
and even like how they knew where Bruce was about when he was on his travels, because like Wayne Enterprises said he was dead, but probably somebody knew where he was. Just like, we'll just say he's dead. Right? He's in a Chinese prison, I think it is.
Yep.
So he's
one
dead
of
to us.
many.
So I totally agree. Like he was very underused because he had menace and stuff about him that came across a bit too dickish. Than you're in league with the League.
I guess it was just like I feel like they revisit that theme in the Dark Knight, don't they? That there's a dick on the board of the Wayne Enterprises who's fucking with them and
Oh,
trying to push him out the company,
oh my
don't they?
God! No, no, they do that, and then they do it again in Dark Knight Rises, because
It's
and then
like
because in the Dark Knight they do it and they take all his money off him. I'm sure. Or no,
something
no,
like that.
it's
It's
in
been a
Dark.
while since I've
It's
seen it, but I'm
no,
sure it's the same
yeah,
theme,
yeah,
like as you're used again.
yeah. It's in the Dark Knight Rises. So what happens is Bruce, if I remember correctly, decides to throw all his money at this he was going to do it to this nuclear program to
Hmm.
save the city, to give free energy to everybody, and then he pulls away from it because this could get turned into a bomb. The board eventually kick him off,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sets up meeting Robin. Fucking that hurt me that. So, and then that sets up Talia becoming the dickish head of the company, so that she can set off the bomb. They should never have done a world-ending kind of city-ending thing with that one. Like, why did you go so big? Like, it just ruins the mystique of it all.
I get the idea that people want power creep because it's a
Yeah,
very comic book thing, but in my mind, the whole point of the Nolan Batmans was to not do
yeah.
comic book stuff,
The minute they
right?
decided to do the bat flying machine thing, the bat plane, I was like, nope. I'm actually
Because
the Tumblr itself is a wee bit
Tumblr
over
is
it.
cool. Like I
It's
get it, the idea
enough.
that like it's Wayne Tech stuff.
Yeah,
Like if they've got a military branch, he's going to be pulling out weird shit like that. Like
yeah.
he's got like his own mini tank. He's got his own like extra
Oh, yeah.
tech that we don't know about. It's cool.
But a plane,
But
a fucking plane. It's just like, okay, this is stepped
like
out into a new level.
because like obviously we get the suspension of disbelief that you can escape the cops in
Yes.
your tank somehow through a waterfall, right? Okay, that's like cool. Yeah, whatever, man. Like I've seen the episodes of Cops. Sometimes the bad guys get away, right? It happens.
Yeah.
But air traffic control and other such things going, why does this fucking like stealth
Believe.
jet thing keep flying
Yes.
that way every time?
Yes.
Like what is over that way? Where's the landing pad in
Yeah.
that sort of direction? Oh,
Oh,
it's over at Wayne Manor. Like, oh shit.
we better go have a
Because
look.
there's nothing else out there. It's
Yeah.
just a fucking manor and a big empty bit of ground. Like,
Do you know what was a good bit of this film actually that I forgot about? The wee jokes from the police officers, like the beat cops when they're like chasing the tank. They guys were
yeah,
just these wee spurses of comedy was all from the just normal police, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's how you do comedy in a Batman film. Don't make it Batman doing it. Make it
yeah.
every normal person, because that's exactly like we're chasing a vehicle. Can you what is it? What make and model? A tank. And then the other guy like, can you describe what it is that I'm meant to be looking for? Never mind. I'm like, gold, pure gold.
Yeah, I just love that. It's like a black tank.
You know what was great about that? His expression after it when he felt so
Yeah.
good about himself for coming up with tank. He was like, tank? Yeah. Like, it was a fucking tank, right?
Oh, that's right, right? Yeah, like, yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like these films they work well. Like
Yeah.
they're good films, but they really do have tone issues and like a bit more consistency overall would have really solidified them as the best like Batman films of all time. But I still
Yes.
really like this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I still really.
I think for me, Batman Begins is my favourite Batman film.
Okay.
It's up there for me. I like this grittier world of it, and it was the ones that, even though I did see the original like not the original, but the '90s Batman films,
Mhm.
they were never in my sphere properly. But this, when Batman Begins came out, it was like my first real introduction to Batman outside of cartoons, and I was like, oh, it was probably my first proper introduction to Christian Bale as well, if I'm honest, because I was only
Really?
I'd
Okay.
have been 16 when this came out. So before that, Christian Bale films are
American Psycho was my first film of his, so it was
that was a
seeing him play Batman was an odd experience
he's
because
just baiting
this is the
for
thing,
you.
like, no, yeah, bait man, um,
Dude, there's a
like
superhero film I'd see.
because he uses the same American accent
Yeah,
for the character, and it's the same kind of pure, like, I don't know, like lip injection thing he does where he's talking in that accent. He's really
yeah,
like he's kind of like eating the words in a weird way. I don't know why he does that, but that's his American accent, and for him to use that in both characters, and they both had that same sort of like slick, um,
Oh, the hair and everything.
businessman sort of feel, and I'm like, oh,
Do you
it
know
was really
what?
uncomfortable.
It almost has that feel of like they looked at his look as Bateman and went,
Yeah,
"That's Bruce Wayne."
because he's a sociopath.
Yes, yeah, basically. Um,
Yeah.
so here's a question then, another
Right.
question. It's probably what I should leave to the end, but opinions might change after revisiting films. Who is you? Who is Batman for you then? Out of the actors that played them, who is Batman?
Hmm.
Which I am gonna.
That's a fucking toughie because I don't particularly feel any connection to like the original like um see we go to Tim Burton style ones, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There was well, I suppose Tim Burton's was only the one actor, but when you get to like Joel Schumacher, we had Val Kilmer and
George Clooney.
George Clooney and stuff like that. Like all throughout those films, I've never really felt a connection to Bruce Wayne
No.
or to the Batman character. It was just more of a symbol, and it works in that sort of sense that Batman was the main character and Bruce Wayne was the sub character.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel, even though it's not a film I really like, I think Ben Affleck was fucking phenomenal
I
as both characters.
I completely agree. Ben Affleck was the only Batman that felt human. He felt like a
Because
real person.
because the look at his face 90% of the time is kind of like pure someone who is a normal guy who has had to train himself to the level of performing like a superhero. He looks fucking run down.
Yeah.
He looks worn out, and he looks like he's just seen some amount of shit.
Yes.
Like, and it's so well done. Like,
I think the idea of doing Batman a bit older works.
mhm.
So like that's how Ben Affleck works because he's meant to be Batman in his 40s, like type
Yeah,
thing of like this is a seasoned Batman, so you don't need to try and create his how he's becoming his morality. It's just that this is the way he fucking is, and I loved him as Batman so much, and it's a shame because I'd have loved to have seen that explored with him as
mhm.
Batman, but DC decided to rush like 4 films out in the one time and went, well, we can't do a
Yeah.
standalone Batman film or a standalone Superman film because Henry Cavill is for me Superman.
Yep.
If
Henry
you,
Cavill is a great Superman, and Ben Affleck is an amazing Batman, but they are trapped in shit
yeah,
films.
because do you know what it is with Henry Cavill for me is see at the very end of Man of Steel
Hmm.
when he tears the satellite down and chats to them and he's kind of smirking about, guys, I'm on your side. Don't have to come looking for me. I'll find you when anything happens. I'm here to help. That's Superman right there. That kind of cocky but really good guy.
Hmm.
And weirdly, see when they redid Justice League for the end, where Superman comes in and just wrecks everything. See the way he spoke and the way he is. I'm like, because it's Henry Cavill who's a big positive guy. I'm like, this is Superman. Why did you try and do dark and dreary for so long? Because in my opinion, Superman's one of the few characters you can get away with of just making him like unrealistically positive because he's like, I am a god. Like I am actually unkillable. So, but I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of
That
gutted
that
you'll
would
never see them together again.
I know, like, and I'm really gutted that they were only together in a movie that was not very good.
It didn't make
Like,
sense. 90%
like
of it.
Batman versus Superman was not given enough time to really kind of be what it needed to be.
Yeah.
We needed a Batman movie where we saw like how much Superman pissed him off.
Yeah.
Like, because we obviously see like the little clips of it here and there in Batman versus Superman, where it's like this guy's destroying the property, he's like killing off people by accident. You know, all these big stupid fights he's had have like ruined like people's lives, and he's the everyday guy who's on the ground floor who's like
Yeah.
looking at this shit. It should have been in his films,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no,
Like,
I totally agree. It's like Ben Affleck's justification made sense.
mhm.
Superman's kind of just like, we're like, we need to make Superman not like Batman.
Yeah.
I had that feeling of it, and it's like, he's branding people? Oh, that bastard. I better go
Mhm.
fight him.
Yeah. Because Superman has such a platform to stand on when he snapped the fucking neck off of his like only other Kryptonian.
Yes.
Like, it's like, come on, maybe if you gave him a better ending in Superman, Man of Steel, then it wouldn't have been this way.
And we
Uh,
needed more than our mums are both called Martha. We are now
mm,
best friends.
yeah.
Yes, Thomas,
I
we
mean,
totally agree.
as much as like yeah, that is pretty much it. Like as much as I like Zack Snyder, right? I think that he's done some good films. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy Watchmen. I enjoy some of his other films. Even the Dawn of the Dead remake, I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he just didn't get the like actual like emotional and story parts right in his
Yeah.
films. Like he missed out on quite a lot of things that were really, really important and just rushed straight to the action
Yes.
and big fight scenes. And I don't know if that's all him or if that's like DC wanting to get to Avengers level threats right away or what, but who knows?
Who knows? It just I'm so hopeful for Robert Pattinson because I like him
Yes.
so much as an actor. Like he
Hmm.
he does the
His progression, his arc is like fucking jumping from shite to awesome overnight.
watching
Like,
him in Lighthouse was something else, man. That film was a trip, and
mm,
him in it was outstanding. It's a very divisive
yeah,
film. You either love this film or hate it, and I loved every minute of it. But I can't wait to see his Batman. I can't wait.
no, like I think this is the kind of like what inspired us to go back to this. By the way, if anyone doesn't get it, it's like cause watching that trailer, I was just like pure. There's something about it, right? I've only seen like what less than a minute of this film, and I'm like, this might be the Batman film,
Yeah,
like the Batman film. Like everything about it to me was like pure. Oh, this looks like Gotham. It's gothic and kind of dreary. And I was like, oh, that Batman suit looks like it's made of like armor plates and like fucking. You can see all the mechanics of it and like all of his kit. All the bad guys look like stuff from like kind of like the
yeah,
Purge. Like almost, so you can see it's like the world is on edge and everyone's fucked up. Gangs are pure mental. It's like, yeah, this might be the
yeah.
film. But who knows? Who
Because
knows?
with everything it's going, it could end up going into this weird development hell that ends up not being the film that it was meant to be, which is scary. Damn you, COVID, taking Batman from me too soon.
Yeah. Let's hope that they keep to it because apparently their idea was to make the trilogy in one. So if they can actually still do that within their budget, then that'll be fine. Because I know for a lot of films, the idea of like having to organize your production crew and get all this stuff together and then develop film, and you're like, well, we didn't do too well.
Yeah.
Everything's cancelled. But if they have the money already up front to just go make all these fucking films, hopefully it'll turn out fine.
Please give us some good news. I
Yeah.
have, before we wrap up, there's something that bugged me with Mulholland Drive, and it bugs
Oh
me
my
with
god, here we go. We're back to it. Like, let's go
almost
for it.
every films.
Right.
Because I noticed in an anime once, and I forgot to bring up last time we were talking, and I like to bring up my grievances. Why is it in every
Mhm.
film their footsteps are louder than their speaking voice? No matter what they're walking, the guys could be walking on fucking grass, and it's
Because it's ADR. Like
I
that's why. Because you don't
oh,
hear the footsteps and someone has put it in after the fact.
I know why, I know how it's done,
Hmm.
but why? Why did they do this to me? Because I was watching Mulholland Drive, and there was a moment where I noticed them fuck up it because she was running up to the stairs, and then
Yeah.
the footsteps cut out, and then came back in as she hit the stairs because it's easier to see her. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I fucking hate this because animes are terrible for it because they don't know. Apparently, they don't
like
know there's different textures to the floors, so everybody's walking in high heels, basically going,
like
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, it kills me, and I just wanted to bring it up because if
Well,
I
that's
didn't,
like
it would be on my chest for all weekend.
it's like ADR people in films are extremely lazy because when you think about it, like in video games,
Hmm.
like they're always so well done.
Yes.
Like because they run a simulation of what each texture and sound and tone would make. How hard would it be for someone just to sit there with like Unreal Engine open, right? And just get a base fucking model of a character and walk them through a scene that has the same textures as the people
Yeah.
in the film do,
Yeah.
right? So they're walking from grass to floor, and your character will go
Yeah.
as it goes. You can just pace it out. Like,
Yeah. Because that's the problem. Because what you find with the ADR ones, they'll do like a walk of like maybe 4 steps,
hmm,
and the noise never changes. There's never a change in whatever at each step is because I've walked over more likely one tiny bit of surface. So then they're walking like for say like a 2 minute scene or whatever, and they've got the exact same walking noise over everything. I'm like, I fucking hate you people. The guy's wearing trainers. They don't make noise.
Yeah, I get you. Like it is a pain in the ass, but I'm thinking that the people who work in these departments, Foley artists, I think they're called,
Yes.
they're probably too busy trying to think how someone's internal organs getting ripped out by a grappling hook sounds like, compared to like what that footstep does. Because they're like footsteps, man. That's the liner. That's the do, and then they're like, right, I've got to spend another 20 hours going, oh man, where can I get watermelons at this time of night? And like, like
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you bring up a
I
good
forgive
point.
them. I forgive them for some things, right? Okay.
I don't. I hate you all. I've got footsteps in the fucking brain now.
Right.
It's because anime do it so over the top that it puts me off when they're
Mm.
talking sometimes, because it's louder in their speech.
Well, also you've got to think about what sound is produced for, because it's always the big thing that a lot of people complain about these days is that no one mixes audio for televisions. So
Yeah.
what you end up with is explosions that are like going to shatter your entire house, and music that does the same, but dialogue that's like.
Yep. Oh my god, that is one of the biggest grievances in the world, because what you'll do is you'll be watching a film that doesn't have many big action points or any really. So, oh, the dialogue's weird here. So you're like, right, I'll just turn it up, right? We'll turn it up.
Yep,
We'll have our telly sitting at like 30 when you never get it out of like the low
Like
teens.
12. Yeah, like.
And then at one moment, somebody beeps a car horn and you shite yourself, and then your neighbours shout at you.
Yep. It's honestly all down to the extreme laziness of sound designers, because they should have multiple audio tracks, and especially on Netflix of all fucking
Oh,
places,
fuck.
you should be able to select balanced audio for television as the main option, and
Right.
not just fucking Dolby.
Yeah.
Like,
The worst one is Prime, actually.
that's
Prime
shocking.
almost has everything turned down because of it. So, seeing they've got big explosions, they've set their audio to be that explosion to be the equivalent of what normal sound is. So, say, like, if you had your TV saying your average is 15, the
Yeah.
explosion at its highest point is 15, but then everything else is super duper low, and you're like,
Do you know how they've ended up with that? It's because basically they've ran it through an algorithm that looks for the peaks in the audio,
yeah,
right? And they've seen where the maximum audio peaks are, and they've just compressed it down to
Yep.
match. And so it doesn't care what everything else is in between. It doesn't know that that's the main dialogue. It's just compressed
Yep.
it because that peak was too high. It's fucking laziness,
Yes.
is what it is,
get your
right?
shit together, Amazon, because if you want me to do Twitch parties through Prime on here, you need to get your
Yeah.
shit together.
Because people are going to be watching that in their headphones, right? Okay,
Yeah.
they're going to be listening to it with that. No one is sitting there with their fucking Dolby Atmos sound on for for watching a Twitch stream. Like,
Yeah.
fucking what?
Yes.
This is a mono microphone. They
Yes.
can't hear me from any other mic audio.
Exactly. I looked into that, by the way, just for anybody listening, of how to do the Twitch stream watch parties.
Yeah.
Need to sort out an Amazon Prime account that's linked to always a worst email, basically.
Yes. And also, for anyone who's watching it, you cannot watch it through the mobile app, because there is, I think, some sort of licensing issue between the Google Play Store and other things when it comes to that. So any apps that are bought through the Google Play Store cannot have secondary purchases within them, or
Right, fair.
conflicting of interest, because I think you can sell movies on Google Play.
Right.
So
Cool, good to know. Because I'm going to try and see about organising doing that at some point down the
it'd be
line.
fun to have watch parties, man.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool.
It might be a month or two, or even a wee bit longer, to actually figure out the ins and outs of how it works. But I'm so down, because a watch party is always going to be fun. We can pick out something brilliant like Predator. We all watch Predator.
I'll rip the utter shit out of it, and then you can
Oh,
all
no,
just
that-
enjoy our audio.
Do you know what's going to be great about it? Is like the minute you start talking bad, because I think next week we might be deep diving Predator, maybe. I think that's what we said. Is the minute you talk bad, I'm just going to mute you. And I'll just get a dub over it, and it's just my voice. No.
Awesome, man.
We're not doing that Predator. That's for a Friday, Donna. Deep
Mhm.
dives aren't meant to make you angry. They're meant to make you think. Because there's nothing to
They
think
make
of.
me angry.
To be fair, what doesn't make you angry when it comes to movies?
Um, yeah, you're right. I mean, like,
You're the angry
I'm
one
glad.
here.
Yeah, I think I'm the bad judge.
Yeah.
That's what I am. I'm the
Party stream the
the
Predator. Problem with that idea, Donna, is nobody would be able to get to watch it because I'd be screaming the whole way through it. Things. So it'd be like, oh look, that bit's quite funny. Who the fuck said that was funny? Come on, share with the classroom, bastards. That's what's going to happen. Because in the cinema, I did that. Donna was with me.
I can. Oh man, this is why I'm never going to the cinema with you, Chris.
Right.
I would just be.
Right. No.
Nope.
I've never been one to air my grievances in the cinema. But when I went to see The Predator, I was watching it and I gave it a lot of leeway. I was like, nah, this is fine. It's okay. Oh, it's a bit cheesy. It was right. It started that right. Oh, they're doing your mum jokes and pussy jokes. Right. Okay. They did that in the original. They're still doing the jokes. Why is the jokes not stopped? Right. Shut up. Then the Predator did kill everybody in the SWAT team, and this is my fucking reference point. And then puts a hand through to tell the SWAT team driver that A-OK, keep driving. And that's when I went, have you ever seen a fucking Predator film? Oh, right, I'm done. It's fine.
All right, it's over.
Because what it is like, I'm very close to just saying my pal Debbie to come on to talk with me because she had the exact same visceral reaction. I'm like, thank you. Someone else has sense.
I haven't seen it because I wouldn't waste money on it, Chris. I'm not a fucking idiot.
I gave it all the leeway in the world because I was like, oh, Shane Black, he helped with some of the writing duties on the original. Mm-hmm. And I realised the only thing he wrote in the original was his shitty jokes. The asshole.
Donna, why did you bring this up again? Like, I thought we'd get through one episode without mentioning the Predator. Like, please, Donna, stop.
Michael, who the fuck laughed? Who the fuck thinks this is funny?
Yeah.
That was genuinely my response all the way through. So that'll be a fun one down the line. But yeah. That's hard work. There is a guy that I love on YouTube that I think everybody should ever know. He does reviews called Decker Shadow. And he did a reaction of the Predator in his car. He does them every now and then where he'll do a reaction of like a big film, and he did the Predator. And he was spitting and his face was red, and he was basically me in the cinema, and that also just made me feel warm inside. Because then he did his proper review, and every now and then he broke script because he was getting so angry. I'm like, thank you.
Well,
so sorry, Mark. I completely took over for a moment there.
Don't worry. This is what it'll be like when we're actually having to go through the the film. I'll just be like,
I'm so
man.
sorry. I swear I'll let you have an opinion as long as it's the right
I
one.
need to as long as I can see the fucking film, Chris. Like, okay, if I can get a chance to see this film, I will give an opinion.
Don't worry. I'll make it. I'll facilitate. Others need to feel my
I'm
pain.
happy to see this film. Like, it's just.
It's not.
I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to let.
There's no time. It's no time down recently. I need a break. I'm still, needing like a 3-year break from it.
Right. Time to breathe.
Yes.
That's what you needed.
Yes, very much so. So, just to let people know, are you streaming tonight? Are we getting a Mark stream?
Yeah, I probably shall be. I assume so. If I can finish dinner in time. If I do, I'll be probably streaming about 8:30 to 9 o'clock, roughly, is when I usually start. So if anyone's interested, you know the drill. Arkham Cult on
It's on the screen.
Twitch.
It's on the screen now. See it? Arkham Cult. Yeah.
That?
There you go.
It's this.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Mark, thank you for Batman Begins. This was a great idea. Thank Ina as well, because I know it was a part of Ina's brain this kind of season of Batman.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun season. I'll actually really look forward to going back to the Tim Burton ones next.
It's Batman Returns is the one of the Tim Burton one that we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's where it hits its swing, if you know what I mean. Like, gets very Tim Burton.
Next week, we are doing Batman and Robin, though. The first Arnie film to the podcast. and it had to be this one, didn't it?
Uh, I, again, I don't know if we could be too critical. Poor Joel Schumacher died with this in his legacy.
Oh, he died towards the end of this. Like, he may have not died years later, but man, his soul died by the time this film was done.
Yeah, probably.
And if you don't have puns in the chat about ice, then you are getting banned for next week.
Yeah, everyone needs to come in with an ice pun.
Yes.
And I can't just have ice to see you.
That'll be how we introduce. It's like ice to see you, So you have to get a game. I want top tier puns from everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So guys, we have been always the worst, and I've done it backwards, and it's always a pleasure because I got in too much of a rant to do it properly. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Fucking bye.
Hello everybody, Michael the Really Raging Robot here. Post night shift, as you can clearly tell. This is attempt number 3 at recording this video. I'm so tired. But I'm going to give my minute movie review for Batman Begins so the guys can chuck it into the stream and tear my opinions apart, I expect. So, without further ado, minute timer is starting now. Batman Begins is, to me, a fantastic origin story. It's something brilliant, something we never really got with the older Batman films, but never something we truly needed, or never something we knew we needed, is how better, I think, to phrase it. Christian Bale brings something fantastic to the role of Batman. Obviously gets a lot of slagging for putting on the voice, but it's something that was necessary. Michael Caine injects a lot of humour. On this rewatch, I realised that there's a lot more humour in this film than I had first thought, which is brilliant. We get the introduction of Scarecrow. Scarecrow is my favourite DC villain of all time, possibly along with Deathstroke. He's fantastic. Cillian Murphy does an amazing job. Really annoyed by the end bit with him, but what are you going to do? Thankfully, he is in all 3 films. I do like the stinger that's not really a stinger at the end, the introduction of the Joker. That was nice. Brilliant movie, great origin story. Watch it.